Hello lovely, welcome to the second episode of this series. So this week's video is trying to conceive. So how did I get pregnant first try? Before we get into all of the tips that I have, I just want to say that this is 100% my personal experience. I am not a medical professional. These are literally just things that I did that I think helped me get pregnant the first time we tried. And that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the information that I used and that I think worked. I'm also aware that trying to conceive and pregnancy is a really sensitive topic and can be quite triggering for some people. So if this is a video that you think is going to trigger emotions that you don't want to experience, then please do switch it off. Like I've already said, this video includes tips that I followed that I think helped me get pregnant the first time that we tried. So I'm going to start with those now and let's get straight into it. Okay, the first one is ovulation tests. So I used ovulation tests to track my ovulation because I didn't have a really clear idea of when it was. So I was also, alongside tracking my ovulation with ovulation tests, I was using like a fertility app where you put your body temperature in the morning and it should sort of calculate roughly when you're going to ovulate and when you're most likely to get pregnant during your cycle. But I wasn't 100% sure that that system was completely correct. So alongside that, I wanted to add ovulation tests. And I did ovulation tests basically every day from the day after my period. Then I started with an ovulation test and then I did one every day until they'd basically gone back down. So I think it was about day 20 of my cycle, I stopped doing the ovulation tests because I was like, okay, I've seen that I've had the peak ovulation and it's come back down, so I'm going to stop doing them now. So I'll talk you through that now and just show you what happened. Okay, so you can see here that I have the date in January and the cycle day. So, cycle day 1 was my period. So I didn't start taking ovulation tests until cycle day 7. You can see on cycle day 7 that there was basically no ovulation and it kind of stayed that way for the first kind of 5-6 days. And then it starts to get darker. Cycle day 17, it's almost as dark as the test line. And then cycle day 18 is peak ovulation. So and 19, I guess, they're both like the same. I'd say 18 is probably darker though. So basically when you do an ovulation test and it's as dark as or darker than the control line, it means you're ovulating then or within the next 24 hours. So I probably ovulated between cycle day 18 and cycle day 19 because you can see on cycle day 20 that it starts to go down again. So that was the first thing. I pinpointed when I was ovulating and when peak ovulation was. So next, I guess, is when were we having sex in relation to the ovulation tests? Because this was the first month that we tried, I wasn't really expecting to get pregnant, but I was kind of thinking as soon as it had started getting darker, that we would start having sex and then we would stop once the ovulation had dropped. Let's talk about sex a bit more now. If you're a family member and you're watching this and you don't want to hear about me and my partner having sex, turn it off. You don't need to be here. So, when did we have sex? And I had a good chat with one of my girlfriends and she was saying to me that someone had told her that the best time to do it is in the morning because the sperm is stronger. So that's exactly what we did. Apart from one day, we didn't. We did it in the evening. So just normal sex, nothing crazy, no handstands, none of that. Just normal sex, how we usually do it. I think it's more, another thing that a friend said, you're more likely to get pregnant if the female orgasms because the uterus opens a little bit wider so the sperm can swim up there and fertilize those eggs, or egg plural. Okay, so with us having sex, just a small recap. As soon as the ovulation stick started getting darker, we started having sex once a day, usually in the morning. And we did that for 6 days until the ovulation sticks started showing negative again. Because I was like, cool, I've ovulated, we've done our best, let's crack on and see what happens. I lightly touched on period tracking. I've been tracking my periods for years, and I actually fell pregnant with Juno whilst tracking my periods because I ovulated at a different point during the cycle. That's another reason that I did the ovulation test alongside period tracking, because I was a little bit unsure of when I ovulate. I don't think it's the same every month. Interestingly, actually, my periods and my cycles have become so much more regular since having Juno, which is really interesting. And I have no idea if there's any science behind that. But before I had Juno, I was sort of like 36 to 38 day cycle, and my periods would last anything from 4 to 8 days. But now they're every 28 days, like clockwork. They last 5 days. They're absolutely horrific, but then it's done and it comes back the next 28 days. So it's, totally random. My periods are definitely a lot more structured now, regular. Just a little bit of info about my reproductive system, guys, if you wanted to know that. So the next thing that I did was I took Pregnacare conception before baby. So you've obviously got like Pregnacare for when you're pregnant, which I'm taking now, but there's a set of tablets that you take which help with conception. There's a little bit of science base in it, but I think it's just good to have vitamins in your body when you're trying to conceive. So you have all of the right vitamins, you already have the folic acid, you already have iron, all of the things that you need for a healthy pregnancy. I think it's really good to sort of start taking those before you're even trying to conceive, so they're fully in your body and your body's prepared, and it's not something that you have to add in later. I'll put a link in the description down below for the exact ones that I took, and then you can find those ones or equivalent for yourself. So we've spoken about ovulation tests, we've spoken about sex, we've spoken about vitamins, and we've spoken about period tracking. So the next one, which I want to say I was really good at, but I wasn't very good at, is try not to get too carried away and too sort of stressed about it. I had moments where I was like, I'm so carefree, it doesn't matter when I get pregnant, I'm living my best life, like this is fun. And then at other points I was thinking, oh my gosh, I really hope I'm pregnant, I'm gonna be really upset if I'm not. So whilst I say try and be open-minded and try not to put too much pressure on yourself or stress yourself out, you're only human, and it is natural to want these things. When you're trying for a baby, it's something that you want, and it does put pressure on it, but just try and do fun things around trying for a baby, stuff that's going to release stress, release anxiety, and just make you feel happy. I didn't have the chance to try for a baby with my first because she was unplanned, although the best surprise in the world, and we absolutely love her. I didn't have the chance to try, so I didn't know how long it would take and how hard I would find the process. From family members, I've heard that, my mum fell pregnant really easily with the 3 of us, and other family members fell pregnant quite easily. So I was thinking maybe the same will happen for me, but then you never know. You might be the odd one out, and those were just worries that I had. I thought maybe it will take me ages. We're going to be trying for sort of 6 months to a year, which isn't a long time. I think the average is like 10 or 11 months. So I was kind of prepared for all of that. I was prepared for a negative test, but yeah, got the positive, which is really nice. So those were just the things that we were doing to conceive the first month that we tried. I think as well, going back to that point I just made about not putting too much pressure on yourself, I think because I have Juno, I am so busy that I don't really have the time to sort of sit and ponder on things and stress about things and worry about things. Like now, I'm 9 weeks pregnant. When I was 9 weeks pregnant with Juno, I had lists the length of my arm, things that we needed. I was watching videos about newborn essentials. I was, Googling every symptom that I had. I was following the pregnancy tracker and seeing like what things she was like, how she was developing. And don't get me wrong, I'm doing things like that now, but I'm so much busier. My mind is so much busier now than it was pre-having children that I just don't have the time to worry or stress. And I think when we were trying over that 5 to 6 day period, I was still Juno's mum. I was still, you know, feeding her, washing her, putting her down for her naps, bathing her, everything. So I never really had the time to get too deep into it and worry. And I am a very big worrier. So if you are too, then I feel you. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. It's hard. It is hard trying to conceive. And I feel really incredibly grateful that we were lucky enough to conceive first time. It's just incredible. I just want to add at this point again that this is completely my experience and I am not a medical professional. These are things that I did literally the lead up to the first month that we tried and I got pregnant. Whether that's because of these things or just complete luck, I don't know. But if this can help anyone, then that's what it's here for, and hopefully it does. If you have any questions, please ask anything in the description down below. If you don't want to ask those questions because you consider them private, then slide into my DMs on Instagram and I'll have a chat with you there. Yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. At the moment I am 9 weeks pregnant at the time of filming this, but you definitely won't see this until I'm probably 12 or 13, maybe even 14 weeks pregnant. So that will be exciting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video on our trying to conceive journey, short and very sweet. And I hope yours is too, and sending love to everyone out there who is trying to conceive, who is pregnant, who is struggling with pregnancy. All my love. Lots of love. Bye.